I feel a little bit vulnerable, to be honest with you. I'm not used to being on television. I'm not used to being a so-called media personality. And so this is uncharted territory for me. I'm much more comfortable in boardrooms, in executive suites, negotiating headquarter transactions and the development deals that are changing skylines of our communities, right, and then being kind of the fish out of water, landing in the middle of the most scientifically studied paranormal hotspot on the planet. Right. I mean, Skinwalker Ranch is quite a departure from what I have been involved in for 30 years in my conventional business activities. And it continues to be a little outside of my comfort zone. So I hope people are patient with me. I hope that they understand that we're learning. We are learning through this process and through trial and error, trying to determine the appropriate platform and method to utilize in service to this investigation and to help the public be part of that journey is something that I take very seriously and that is a priority. So I appreciate you engaging with me tonight, and I appreciate your enthusiasm and support.
And to you, and the more I don't know, it just, when you're not there, it's obviously you're living it, you're experiencing it. For me, it's something I'm very highly interested in. It's amazing that I get to talk to you, but I can forget about it. I mean, I go off about my daily business. I have other things to do, but there's a reality there that never goes away for you guys. And I think, just again, starting to read the Pentagon book about perhaps more the dangers of the ranch, that I think, as you said, when you started, you were very skeptical about the things, what was going to go in, and you thought there would be a prosaic answer. I think
sure.
For me, I mean, again, I think for me, the dangers were of, I could, perhaps more the psychological dangers I was more open to, shall we say. I don't think I really understood, and nor could you perhaps until you're there, that the physical dangers. And I think, obviously with Thomas Winterton's events, with Dr. Taylor's cancer stuff, but then the reading
and countless others. I mean, without disclosing their identities or breaching any confidentiality or and in service to being sensitive to other individuals, we've had countless other incidents involving other participants,
right,
that involve acute medical episodes, and they're very real. The danger at Skinwalker Ranch is very real, and the fact that we continue to see unexplained phenomena manifest on the property, especially in conjunction with our experimental activities and research, it's quite exciting. There's a reason why we require liability waivers be signed and actual written acknowledgement from those who enter the property that there are risks associated with being there. And it doesn't matter whether you're a vendor or whether you're an active member of the team. There are risks associated with this research and with this property. And, we continue to have unfortunate episodes where people are experiencing things and being impacted. And it's real, it's tangible, it's documented. We have hard data documenting these incidents, and to have acute medical episodes that correspond with everything from the electromagnetic anomalies to the visual and recorded sightings of anomalous activity and just high strangeness. It's something that keeps us on high alert at all times.
So it's X amount of episodes season 1, X amount season 2, principal characters. But as you say, Candace and Tom live there permanently, which is another aspect that I don't think people, I mean, it's sort of like, oh, caretakers. Well, caretakers in an ordinary building, you've still got plenty of work to do, let alone in in one of the most unique places in the world. You're not just mending the fences or doing anything. There's an active presence going on for them. And I know you said the wintertime is a totally different place, So I mean,
Oh,
they
yeah.
have their own, unique perspective.
Yeah, the weather during the winters here out in the basin, it can be very harsh.
Mhm.
And to their credit, they ensure continuity. I mean, they're constantly interacting, of course, with our security detail, with Dragon, with Caleb. I mean, Caleb is involved with local law enforcement out there. So when he's not on the ranch and working with the team, he's fully employed with the sheriff's department, and plays a very active role with law enforcement in the basin. And of course, Thomas Winterton, who has really been managing and acting as superintendent since the first month that I took over ownership of the property. I mean, his active assistance with the physical facilities and the fact that this is an active ranch, with livestock, has been invaluable. Then, of course, you add to that Eric Bard, who has been principal investigator and really my chief scientist since the beginning. And to have his dedication to scientific rigor and discipline and really designing and establishing the scientific platforms that continue to operate there, within the command center and on the property. I mean, that is such a vital part of the 24/7, 365 days a year activity that we have. I mean, Eric deserves great credit. I mean, he's established not only the camera surveillance systems, but also, we have our own avionics receiving platforms on site. We have our own weather station. We have infrasonic sensors. We have our FLIR camera system that, provides, thermographic imaging. And then as appropriate, we brought in drone surveillance and drone scans of the property, partnering with, partnering with LiDAR professionals and, ground penetrating radar studies and resistivity studies that are helping us better understand the nature of the environment and the activity that we are monitoring on a constant basis.
Is Eric, what is Eric's time on the property like? I mean, obviously he must live. He doesn't live there, right?
He does. In fact,
does.
Eric's been living there constantly.
Oh, okay.
Eric has had a constant presence, lives in the command center on a pretty regular basis. In fact, the last 3-4 months he's been there, but he'll spend sometimes weeks at a time on the property, monitoring the equipment, monitoring the activity that is taking place, and calibrating the systems and controls that we have in place.
So the new live view property seems to have grown. So I remember especially with George Knapp and the book, the first Skinwalker, it was 480 acres. Now it's 512. Did you buy those? Did you buy those extra? Okay.
I acquired the right of way leading into the property, and that we privatized the road, the entrance to the property, in order to better control and lock down the investigation and the security perimeter. So yes, I acquired additional acreage shortly after purchasing the property from Mr. Bigelow, all in service to I think not only protecting the integrity of our scientific investigation, but also securing the premises because of the safety issues and also trespassing concerns that had arisen in the past.
What is that activity like? I mean, not necessarily trespassing. Obviously, you have this
constant. It's constant. We are constantly seeing visitors. I mean, Skinwalker Ranch has become Mecca for the paranormal. It's a center of gravity for those who are curious about these topics for good reason. And I don't fault them. We have tried to use the documentary series on the History Channel as a platform to inform the public and to give them a peek behind the scenes, to allow them inside the gates without being exposed to the danger and without creating a circus. I have no interest in opening the ranch for any public tours or any public engagement, simply because of the liability issues that exist. I mean, these things are real.
Yeah.
Bad things happen on occasion, and we are conducting a very sensitive, ongoing scientific research study.
Yeah.
And it's not for the faint of heart. Those who come on the property are challenged to prepare themselves spiritually, to armor themselves, to hopefully avoid potential conflict, and at least be prepared to engage with something that we simply can't understand as of yet.
It's quite amazing. The one last thing I wanted to talk about, I like, you're not the expert, you're the owner. You let the people who are, they have their responsibilities, and you let them run with it.
I'm not a scientist. I'm an entrepreneur, but I want results. I expect results. I come from a world that is demanding, that requires accountability, and I'm applying those same expectations and those same principles that I apply on a day-to-day basis in my business activities to our research investigation at Skinwalker Ranch. And I think that's part of why I believe we're seeing some pretty dramatic results and able to document this in an unprecedented fashion. I think bringing a multidisciplinary team together and collaborating and actually requiring a level of accountability to take place here really sets this effort apart from all others, especially the previous 20 years of investigation. With all respect to Mr. Bigelow and his team, who I do respect, we have taken the research and the investigation at Skinwalker Ranch to a whole other level. In fact, I ask anyone to try to identify any comparable effort on the planet to use science, technology, and experts in service to exploring these topics in a disciplined, organized fashion with resources. We're putting our money where our mouth is. I mean, I have not taken a penny personally relative to the investigative series yet, and want to point out to people that we funded this privately. I mean, I took this responsibility on when I acquired the property, and have really invested a significant amount of time and money into establishing the surveillance platforms and the investigation
right
out at Skinwalker Ranch. This is a very important endeavor. I think we're asking the big questions in connection with our research study at Skinwalker Ranch. Are we alone in the universe? What is the nature of our reality? The most basic questions that have plagued humanity since the beginning are really being brought to the forefront at Skinwalker Ranch with our investigation, and I'm excited to share this with the general public. I have no intention of withholding evidence, of withholding the documentation or the reality of these things from the public. I believe that, again, we have a responsibility. This is a stewardship, and I think we're just getting warmed up. We look forward to revealing some really, I think, jaw-dropping evidence in the future, and the adventure continues.
Well, I'd like to thank you for your time, because I know what a busy man you are, and taking the time to talk to me about this is really, I'm very humbled by it. So thank you very much, and I do look forward to talking to you in the future.